Most Jeep owners use their key fob every day without realizing it's hiding features that can unlock doors, start the engine, lower windows, and even protect their Jeep from theft. So today, I'm showing you the biggest Jeep key fob secrets almost nobody knows. And trust me, some of these are insane. Let's start at number 8, and that takes us back to the year 1993. The first Jeep with factory remote keyless entry rolled off the line in the year 1993. It was the original Grand Cherokee ZJ. The fob looked exactly like a garage door opener, a flat black square with 3 buttons: lock, unlock, panic. That was the whole list. The receiver sat tucked inside the dome light, and the signal only worked from about 30 feet away. You could program up to 4 transmitters per vehicle, and the procedure required cycling the ignition on and off while pressing buttons in a precise sequence. 5 years later, in 1998 itself, Chrysler dropped the bigger upgrade, the Sentry Key Immobilizer System. Jeep Specs documents this clearly. A transponder chip got embedded into the head of every key. If the chip didn't match the skim module under the steering column, the engine would fire briefly, run for about 2 seconds, then stall completely. It was Jeep's first real anti-theft system, and it could store up to 8 programmed keys per vehicle. The Wrangler TJ got Sentry Key as an option through 2006. The JK Wrangler made it standard from 2007 onward. But the real leap forward came in the year 2018. The Wrangler JL launched with passive entry and push-button start as a factory option for the very first time in Wrangler history. The JK never had it from the factory. Owners who wanted push-button start had to install aftermarket bypass kits. That's the origin most Jeep owners never knew. But that history barely cracks the list, because what comes next is something you can try the next time you walk up to your Jeep. Moving on to number 7, the remote start rule. Almost every Jeep owner breaks this rule without realizing it. Push the remote start button on your fob twice in a row. The engine fires up. The climate control kicks in. You've got 15 minutes to walk out, unlock the door, and drive off. If you don't reach the Jeep in time, the engine shuts itself off automatically. So far, that's normal behavior. But the rule almost nobody tells you about is simple. You can only restart it remotely one more time after that. That's the limit. 2 consecutive cycles, and the system locks itself out completely until you physically insert the keyblade and turn the ignition to the run position. The Mopar remote start documentation for the Grand Cherokee WK spells it out word for word. 2 cycles maximum, then a manual reset is required. Why does this matter to you? Because on a freezing morning when you're trying to warm up the cabin from your kitchen window, hitting remote start 3 times in a row won't work the 3rd time, and you'll think the system is broken. It isn't broken. Jeep engineered that lockout to prevent runaway engine idling and to keep the fuel tank from draining if somebody's kid accidentally remote starts the truck 6 times during a sleepover. There's a second hidden detail tucked in there. If the engine fails to start on the first remote attempt, the system gives you exactly 1 more shot before it disables remote start until you manually reset. So if your battery is weak and the truck cranks but doesn't fire, don't keep mashing the button. Walk outside and start it the old-fashioned way. However, that rule is small potatoes compared to what's coming up. Now we're at number 6, the window roll-down trick. Most YouTube videos get this trick completely wrong. Open your Jeep owner's manual and search for the phrase Remote Open Window feature. If you have a 2011 to 2013 Grand Cherokee WK2 or a Wrangler JL4XE with the auto up-down window package, you'll find this section written out plain as day. Press and release the unlock button on the fob. Then, within 5 seconds, press and hold the unlock button for up to 7 seconds. All 4 vehicle door windows will open at the same time. The feature has to be enabled inside the UConnect settings menu first, and the Jeep has to be equipped with the full auto up-down window option on every door. The 4XE Wrangler forum confirmed it works on 2021 and newer 4XE Wranglers directly from the owner's manual screenshots. But this is exactly where most videos lie to you. They claim the trick works on every Wrangler JL. It doesn't. The standard Wrangler JL's power window circuit isn't connected to the CAN bus, which means the body control module physically can't tell the windows to move via a remote command. A Mopar engineer broke that down on JL Wrangler forums back in 2020. So if you've got a base Sport or a Sahara without the auto up-down window option, holding the unlock button accomplishes exactly nothing. The Grand Cherokee version of the feature quietly got pulled from later manuals around 2013 to 2014, reportedly after a customer flooded their interior during a rainstorm. There's also a Taser JL Mini aftermarket programmer that unlocks both window up and window down behavior for around $250. However, that trick pales next to what's coming up next. Quick break before we keep going. If you want your Jeep to last as long as possible without getting destroyed by expensive repairs, check out my ebook, The 500,000-Mile Jeep Blueprint. It's packed with the maintenance tricks and hidden fixes most owners never learn. Link is below in the description. Coming in at number 5, the Wagoneer fob button. There's one button on this fob that no other Jeep on Earth carries. In 2022, Jeep launched the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer, two enormous full-size SUVs aimed directly at the Cadillac Escalade and the Lincoln Navigator. The interiors were leather everywhere. The screens stretched across the dash like a private jet cockpit. But the most quietly impressive piece of engineering sat right in your hand. The Grand Wagoneer's premium key fob carries 6 buttons: lock, unlock, remote start, liftgate, panic, and one button that no other Jeep fob on Earth includes: a dedicated air suspension button. Mopar insiders covered the 2022 reveal and quoted the Jeep press materials directly. A separate button on the key fob lets the operator manually lower the entire vehicle. Press it from outside the truck, and the Grand Wagoneer's Quadralift air suspension drops the body by about 1.6 inches. The power-deployable running boards extend automatically. Your kids climb in without doing a CrossFit pull-up. For older passengers and shorter family members, that single button is genuinely useful. The fob also runs on a CR2450 coin cell, which is thicker than the standard CR2032 most older Jeeps use, and the FCCIDM 3NWXF0B1 matters if you ever need to source a replacement. By the way, you'll see TikToks and Reddit threads everywhere claiming the Wagoneer fob has a real glass top. It doesn't. The OEM fob is all plastic. That glass rumor traces back to aftermarket Amazon covers made of fiberglass and resin, sold under the T-Carbon brand. That part is marketing fan fiction that took over Reddit and stuck. But that air suspension button isn't the most useful trick on this list. Quick break before we keep going. If this is the kind of breakdown you came here for, hit subscribe right now. Now let's hit number 4, the dead fob start. You're standing in a parking lot. Your Jeep won't unlock. The fob is completely dead. Every modern Jeep with push-button start has a backup almost nobody talks about. Press the brake pedal down hard. Take the fob in your hand. Press the back of it, the side opposite the buttons, firmly against the start button itself. The engine cranks right up. It works on Wranglers and Gladiators, Grand Cherokees, Wagoneers, basically every push-button Jeep built since around model year 2018. Inside that fob, there's a small transponder coil. When you press it against the start button, the vehicle's antenna powers it wirelessly and reads the chip, even though the coin battery is flat as a board. But there's a second piece almost no Jeep owner knows about. Every modern Jeep fob hides a real metal keyblade inside the housing. Look at the back. There's a small slider button. Push it. The blade pops out instantly. That blade is for the driver's door, which still has a physical lock cylinder hidden under a plastic cap on most Wranglers and Gladiators. Pop the cap off, slot the blade in, and you can unlock the door manually. Combine the two, and you can get into and start a Jeep with a completely dead fob in roughly 15 seconds. No tow truck, no locksmith, no $400 dealer visit. That's number 4. However, the next 3 secrets on this list aren't about tricks anymore. They're about danger. Number 3 is where this gets serious, the 2015 UConnect hack. Wired's Andy Greenberg published one of the most famous automotive stories of the last 20 years on July 21, 2015. 2 security researchers, Charlie Miller and Chris Valasek, sat in Miller's basement 10 miles away while Greenberg drove a 2014 Jeep Cherokee on a St. Louis highway at 70 miles per hour. They started small. The radio cranked to maximum volume on its own. The windshield wipers turned on at full speed. Cold air blasted through the vents. Then the transmission cut to neutral mid-highway. The Jeep coasted helplessly as traffic stacked up behind it. Greenberg later described being completely powerless inside the cabin. The exploit ran through Sprint's cellular network into the UConnect 8.4-inch head unit. From there, it jumped onto the CAN bus, the vehicle's internal computer network. Miller and Valasek had remote access to the brakes, the steering, and the engine. Within 5 days of the Wired article going live, FCA recalled 1.4 million vehicles. Cherokees, Grand Cherokees, Durangos, Ram trucks, Chargers, Challengers, 300s, and Vipers from model years 2013 to 2015. Fractional CISO documented that this was the first physical product recall in history triggered entirely by a cybersecurity vulnerability. Stellantis responded long-term by adding a secure gateway module to every FCA vehicle starting in 2018. The SGW acts like a firewall on the CAN bus, forcing any aftermarket scan tool to authenticate through the company's AutoAuth system before it can write data into the vehicle. Autel itself became one of the first certified tool brands in June 2020. That single change locked out the old internet-based attack vector entirely. But the next generation of thieves figured out something even simpler, and it's happening in your neighborhood tonight. Now to number 2, the OBD port theft wave. 225 Jeep Wranglers vanished from San Diego streets in 2024. CBS 8 dropped the report that caught the entire Jeep community off guard. More than any other vehicle on the list, the second most stolen vehicle was the Hyundai Elantra at 201. By mid-2025, San Diego had already racked up 124 Wrangler thefts, on pace to match the year before. CHP Captain Charles Leonard told reporters on camera that the rise in Jeep, Dodge, and Ram theft is happening because of how easy it now is to reprogram a key fob. SDPD officer Anthony Carrasco followed up with a direct on-camera quote. People are using key reprogrammers through the OBD2 port to reprogram new keys and actually steal the vehicle. The method is brutally simple. A thief smashes a side window, slides under the dashboard, plugs an Autel scan tool into the OBD2 port near the driver's left knee, pulls the security pin directly off the vehicle's network, programs a fresh blank key fob to the truck in roughly 2 to 3 minutes, then drives off like they own it. The Massachusetts Attorney General confirmed the exact playbook in December of 2024 in an indictment officially called Operation Hellcat. 12 people were arraigned in court. The filing described the method plainly. The group allegedly used Autel programming devices that allow users to take a blank key fob and create a fully functioning key for the vehicle. The Wrangler is the favorite target because the doors come off easily, the parts have massive resale value across the southern border, and there's no steering wheel lock on JLs. That theft wave is the modern threat. However, what comes next is the fix. Stellantis quietly released in 2025 that almost no Jeep owner has heard about. And finally, we're at number 1, the RFH Anti-Theft Update. This is the fix that could save your Jeep from being stolen tonight. In mid-2025, Stellantis released a technical service bulletin numbered 08-151-25. The TSB applies to 2021 through 2026 Jeep Wrangler JL models, alongside most current Charger, Challenger, Chrysler 300, and Ram products. The update reflashes a small computer inside your Jeep called the Radio Frequency Hub, or RFH for short. Once installed, the RFH refuses to accept any newly programmed key fob through the OBD port. Period. A thief can plug an Autel tool in all day long. The vehicle will not pair a new key, no matter what software they're running. If a thief actually wanted to bypass it, they'd have to physically remove the entire RFH module from inside the dash and replace it with a brand new one before programming a single fob, which is exactly what makes the update so useful. The one catch is that this update is permanent and one-way. Once your dealer flashes the RFH, you also can never add or replace a key fob through the OBD port yourself either. So if you only have one fob right now, get a second one programmed before booking the update. The forum thread on JL Wrangler forums confirmed multiple owners completed the update on 2024 Wrangler 392 models without any issues. Most dealers charge about 1 hour of labor if you're out of warranty. Some perform the flash for free during a regular service visit. The same protection rolled out years earlier on the Dodge Charger, Challenger, and Chrysler 300, after those models became infamous for being stolen via key cloning. Now Jeep has finally caught up. Combine that update with a Faraday signal blocking pouch for your fob overnight, plus an aftermarket OBD port lock like a Revelco, and your Jeep becomes about as theft-proof as a vehicle realistically can be in 2025. So those were the biggest Jeep key fob secrets most owners never learn about. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more hidden Jeep tricks and features. And before you go, comment the coolest Jeep feature you've ever discovered yourself. Then click the video on your screen right now. See you there.